Welcome to a video that could absolutely change your life. My name's Matt Finch, and I used to be heavily addicted to first prescription opioid painkillers, and finally, the last 6 months, smoking heroin. It's been almost 10 years since I quit my addiction, and since then I've learned quite a bit. I went to school to become a certified alcohol and drug counselor. Then I did an externship at an opiate treatment program that was an outpatient medication-assisted treatment facility. Then after a few years of doing that, I started my first website, opiateaddictionsupport.com, that has since seen millions of visitors, millions of website visitors. There's over more than 300 different articles. And now in this new tutorial, you're going to learn some awesome opioid detox remedies. I'm going to show you in alphabetical order, starting from the beginning of the alphabet and going to the end, 20 different opioid detox remedies, detox protocols, and through that you'll be able to see which ones are FDA approved, which ones are not, which ones can be addictive and habit forming and can even get dependent on those and cause withdrawal, which ones are not addictive and habit forming and do not cause withdrawal, which ones are prescription only, and which ones you can get over the counter, the safety profiles, and much more. So without further ado, I can't wait to present this to you. This is 20 opioid detox remedies, A to Z. All right, now let's begin. Opioid detox remedies. These are going to be 20 remedies, and some of them are actually classes of remedies. So you'll see more what I mean coming up. So it's actually more than 20 remedies. A to Z, here we go. Opioid detox remedies are any substance, whether it's natural, semi-synthetic, or fully synthetic, that can alleviate the symptoms of opioid withdrawal, whether they can alleviate minor symptoms, major symptoms. Some remedies are so powerful, or combinations of remedies, they can even alleviate severe opioid withdrawal symptoms. How do you get these remedies? Well, when it comes to the prescription remedies we're going to talk about, and there's also going to be natural ones that are non-prescription, over-the-counter, but typically the most powerful ones for people that are coming off of the most severe opioid dependencies, such as fentanyl, high-dose heroin, etc., they can actually go to see their physician or a psychiatrist, and they can prescribe opioid detox medications remedies. So the easiest way is to get prescribed opioid detox remedies. That would be to work with a physician that is board certified in addiction medicine. There are too many doctors out there that, even though they have the ability to prescribe medications for withdrawal, they're not addiction medicine doctors. That's not their specialty. They typically either are not passionate about it or not highly knowledgeable about it, or a combination of both. And when it comes to addiction medicine physicians, they are very skilled and very educated in this topic. They know about detox protocols, detox medicines, and many of them can help quite a bit. So again, any doctor or psychiatrist can prescribe medicines for detox, although many of them, they will choose not to help you out because either they aren't specialists or they might even fear getting in trouble. Fear like, well, if I prescribe this person this medicine or these medicines, what if they overdose, or what if they get addicted to this? Nowadays, physicians are much more careful than they were back in the day before this opioid epidemic got national awareness, and the CDC and the National Institutes of Health and all the rest of the government involved in it. So nowadays, it's hard, but when you go to an addiction medicine physician, you can get medicines typically. And not everybody needs, probably very few people actually need medicines. Opioid withdrawal is not like benzo or alcohol withdrawal where you can actually die from withdrawal. Opioid withdrawal, you'll only wish you were dead sometimes because it can be so severe. So here we go, 20 opioid detox remedies that have helped people from A to Z. Number 1, benzodiazepines. It should be said too, I'm very careful nowadays on my videos. These can be highly addictive, especially for people in stressful life situations, and especially people that have been addicted to opioids, alcohol, or other CNS depressants. They can cause physical dependence within weeks or months, and once you're physically dependent and you stop cold turkey, they can even cause withdrawal symptoms, and it can be difficult to taper off after long-term use. So typically anything in this whole entire webinar typically nobody gets a physical dependence to a substance if they only use it for a few days. Anything somebody uses for a few days, typically they're not going to get a physical dependence on. So, and I'm not recommending the use of any of these. This is an educational video only. I'm not promoting the use of any of these, and it's certainly not medical advice. It'll be your job to, if you like the information that you see, then you can accumulate info and data to take to your doctor, and they can help you to prepare a plan and get into treatment. The way benzos like Ativan, Valium, Klonopin, Xanax, and Librium work is they stimulate GABA production. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that calms down signals in the brain. So these actually calm down your amygdala's fight or flight, fear/anxiety response, which is activated during the CNS rebound effect during opioid withdrawal. So they can really calm down the fear center of your brain, thus alleviating anxiety, insomnia, restlessness, and perhaps more. These are by prescription only. These can be highly addictive. A lot of people can use these very responsibly to mitigate opioid withdrawal when under the supervision of a doctor. Some people get wildly addicted to them. And at this point, I should mention that that doesn't mean benzos are bad. None of these substances or methods I'm showing are good, bad, or neutral. Only a person's relationship to benzos, a person's relationship to the other remedies, that can be good, bad, or neutral. So benzodiazepines help far more people in the world than get addicted to it. Addiction is an aberration. Most people are able to use all of the medicines on here, be it methadone, buprenorphine, benzodiazepines, baclofen, gabapentin, all the ones I'm going to talk about. Most of the people that get prescribed these by a doctor, they are not psychologically dependent and addicted and their lives get out of control. Again, addiction is an aberration. It is something that is not the norm. So it's not the drug's problems. It's the person's relationship to the drug that determines that. Next, buprenorphine. This is an FDA-approved medicine for opioid use disorder and withdrawal. It came out it was FDA approved in 2002, commonly prescribed by outpatient clinics and private practice physicians that are commonly prescribing buprenorphine products. And now I think this administration made it to where any physician could prescribe these medicines, buprenorphine-containing medicines, without having the certification for it. Buprenorphine is a partial opioid agonist. That means that it activates the opioid receptors, but only partially, not like to the full degree like full agonists like methadone, heroin, oxycodone, and hydrocodone. Buprenorphine is a semi-synthetic opioid, and they create it using thebaine. Thebaine is a natural alkaloid in the opium poppy plant, and it's actually kind of a stimulant too. So perhaps you've heard of people that get energy when they take buprenorphine-containing products like Suboxone or Subutex. Or maybe some people get energy when they're snorting oxycodone. Well, oxycodone and buprenorphine are both made from thebaine. And again, thebaine can have stimulatory effects. Buprenorphine can be highly addictive. It can, at minimum, cause physical dependence, much less able to cause psychological dependence in comparison to short-acting opioids like heroin and oxycodone. So this can cause physical dependence, and once you're physically dependent, then that can cause a withdrawal syndrome if you do an abrupt cessation off the medicine, and it can be difficult for some people to taper off after long-term use. This medicine can cause side effects, and it can also be used for maintenance. That is, instead of using it as an opioid detox remedy, using it initially for that, but then transferring over to maintenance, that means where you're on it for the span of months or even a year or longer, to where you can manage the symptoms of opiate addiction and get your life back in order. A lot of people regret getting on buprenorphine. Down the line, they wish they would have just gone through the withdrawal of the short-acting opioids. And probably a lot of people also, well, guaranteed a lot of people also, are very glad they got on long-term buprenorphine maintenance. So again, buprenorphine is not good, bad, or neutral. It is it's someone's relationship to the medicine that can be good, bad, or neutral. I've seen this medicine save people's lives, save their careers, their relationships, their families. They still have custody of their kids when they're going to lose them. So they would say it's a life-saving medicine. Other people have opposite experiences, and it's not the medicine's fault. It has nothing to do with the medicine. It has to do with the person's relationship to the medicine. Vitamin C is number 3. This is not addictive, and you don't need a prescription. One thing is that humans cannot make our own vitamin C, like most other animals on the planet can do when enduring stressful physiological symptoms and responses. They can create vitamin C from their own body, which can help them to alleviate physiological stress very well. Humans don't have that ability. We need it from our diets and supplements or a combination of both. And this has been shown in several studies, even though it's not approved, FDA approved for withdrawal. Back in the day, there are many research studies showing that it may be significant for relieving opioid withdrawal symptoms when people use high doses of vitamin C. At high doses, the sodium ascorbate or ascorbic acid forms can cause bad bowel intolerance, but nowadays we have liposomal vitamin C, which has a much higher absorption. It is more expensive, but it typically does not cause the bowel intolerance, no matter how high of a dose a person goes. High-dose vitamin C may interfere with certain medicines and health issues. And again, no prescription is needed and it's not addictive. Number 4 is baclofen. This is a muscle relaxer that can be addictive. It can cause physical dependence. It can cause a withdrawal syndrome if a person is physically dependent and then abruptly discontinues the medicine. It can be difficult to taper off after long-term use, and it can cause side effects. The way it works is it stimulates GABA production, and it can reduce fear, anxiety, insomnia due to calming down the overactive amygdala that is literally in hyperdrive due to opioid, cold turkey, detox-induced fight-or-flight response. You do need a prescription for this. This one can work quite well for a lot of people for their restless legs. It is not FDA approved for opioid withdrawal, but many doctors have prescribed it off-label to treat the symptoms of opioid withdrawal. Again, this is baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer. It's not one of the most common medicines, but it is quite effective for a large number of people when used under the care of a physician, very short term, at the right dosages for their situation under the doctor's supervision. Number 5 is clonidine. This is one of the more popular and more commonly prescribed medicines for opioid withdrawal. It's not FDA approved for opioid withdrawal, but it is a blood pressure medication that's commonly prescribed. It can be addictive. It can cause physical dependence. It can cause a withdrawal syndrome if one becomes dependent and abruptly discontinues the medicine. It can be difficult to taper off after long-term use. It can cause side effects, and it's a blood pressure medicine that is commonly used off-label to treat the symptoms of opioid withdrawal. There are clonidine tablets and clonidine patches and other forms of clonidine. It brings the heart rate and blood pressure down from a person's overactivated state induced by the fight or flight response during withdrawal. And so since it can reduce blood pressure, and it can actually reduce blood pressure too much in certain individuals going through opioid withdrawal, in which case they would need to find something else if they're prone to having low blood pressure, and you do need a prescription for this medicine. Number 6 is diphenhydramine. This is an over-the-counter sleep medicine. This can be habit-forming or addictive. It can cause physical dependence, and it can cause withdrawal if someone's been using it long-term and stops cold turkey. This can cause side effects, and it's commonly used when individuals experiencing the opioid withdrawal syndrome cannot procure medicines from a doctor, or they don't have other remedies at home that work better. This is typically someone that doesn't have a lot of resources, doesn't have much money or a good relationship with a doctor, so they're just getting stuff over the counter, like diphenhydramine, Imodium AD, or the generic loperamide HCl, which is helpful for the opioid withdrawal, diarrhea, and stomach cramping. This one is a sleep medicine. It helps people to relax, and it sedates them, and it helps them to get some sleep, although some people take it and it makes things worse, and we'll talk about that coming up, biochemical individuality. Number 7 are the class of drugs called gabapentinoids. The two ones on here that we're going to talk about are gabapentin and pregabalin. Pregabalin is stronger. It's pretty much one of the strongest opioid withdrawal medicines there is, especially when it comes to non-opioid opioid withdrawal medicines. Gabapentin and pregabalin are both can be addictive. They can both cause physical dependence. They can both cause withdrawal symptoms. Once a person is dependent and then abruptly discontinues the use of these drugs, they can be difficult to taper off after long-term use. They can cause side effects, interact with other medications and supplements and health disorders, but they do calm down the amygdala, and they can saturate a person's brain with GABA, which is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that slows down brain activity and calms the amygdala fear center of the brain. You need a prescription for this. It can be highly addictive. A lot of people nowadays are starting to abuse it, and doctors are prescribing it much less than they were back in the day, not because gabapentin is a bad, horrible medication, and when it works well for people, it's not because it's a miracle medicine. Gabapentin is neither good nor bad, only a person's relationship to this medicine and the time they use it, how it helps them, and everything can be good, bad, or neutral. Number 8 is Hiantos 4. This is a very novel opioid withdrawal remedy. It's a natural opioid detox medicine that's approved in Vietnam for opiate addiction and withdrawal, and it's been shown in numerous studies to alleviate withdrawal symptoms. It consists of 13 liquid extract organic herbs, mostly Chinese and a few Vietnamese herbs. This is provided at detox facilities in Vietnam. It's based on traditional Chinese medicine. It can cause some people side effects, although it's not addictive. They've proven this in studies. Has no addictive potential whatsoever, despite it giving such a robust increase in natural dopamine, and it doesn't cause physical dependence or withdrawal. Hydroxyzine is a prescription medication. This can be addictive. It can cause physical dependence. It can also cause withdrawal symptoms after physical dependence has been established if someone quits cold turkey. It can be difficult to taper off after long-term use for some people. It can cause side effects, and it can interact with other medicines, supplements, and health disorders. Hydroxyzine is an opioid detox remedy that works as an antihistamine that can be heavily sedating at certain dosages. And again, you do need a prescription for this. I heard about hydroxyzine a few years ago from someone that said that it worked really well for withdrawal, and I had never heard of this one, which was bizarre because I've written pretty much about almost every single medicine that can work there is. For number 10, we have ibogaine therapy. Ibogaine is totally illegal in the U.S. In fact, the Drug Enforcement Agency says it has no medicinal value and a very high potential for abuse. However, this medicine is unregulated in Mexico and Canada and various other countries. It's been shown to cause death in about 1 out of every 300 people. It has neurotoxicity side effects. It's also a powerful psychedelic, and it's around $5,000 to $10,000 and up for treatment, which usually lasts 7 to 10 days. It's not FDA approved, and it never will be. It's an actual, ibogaine is the active alkaloid in the iboga root that tribes in Africa have used for religious ceremonies, for medical health issues, and more. So this is a natural plant psychedelic medicine. They're coming out with something called 18MC. Matter of fact, I believe they've started phase 2 human clinical trials. So far, everything has gone smoothly with great results. 18MC is a man-made ibogaine derivative that is just like ibogaine as far as the brain-building effects for addiction, anti-addiction, and such, but it doesn't have the side effects of being a psychedelic, and it doesn't have the side effect of being neurotoxic. So it's going to be much safer and much more mainstream this way. Of course, the pharmaceutical company that creates it is going to make tons and tons and tons of money. And I say good for them for providing an awesome service to the world. Number 11 is ketamine infusion therapy. This is another psychedelic. It's also an anesthetic. This can be addictive. It can cause side effects. The way it works is it's an NMDA receptor antagonist. That is one of the features of ibogaine, and it can alleviate opioid withdrawal by this novel mechanism. It's an anesthetic and dissociative hallucinogen. It can be prescribed by clinics that offer ketamine infusion therapy. It also comes in a nasal spray called Spravato that is FDA approved for treatment-resistant depression, maybe like major depressive disorders that have not responded to traditional treatment. But again, you can get ketamine infusion therapy at various clinics around the U.S., and this can be helpful for some people for alleviating opioid withdrawal due to it being an NMDA receptor antagonist. Number 12, we have kratom. This sure is a hot topic and one of debate. This can be addictive. It can cause physical dependence and then a withdrawal syndrome if somebody quits cold turkey after they become dependent. It can cause side effects. The DEA and Food and Drug Administration, FDA, have tried to ban it more than once unsuccessfully. It is a botanical. This is a natural plant medicine. It's in the coffee plant family. It grows all over Southeast Asia. It's very popular in Thailand, where they banned it because it was interfering with their sales of other opioids. And it contains alkaloids that bind to opioid receptors. These are not opium poppy plant alkaloids, making things, that's a traditional opiate, would be something that is derived from the opium poppy plant. This is not derived from that. So this is a totally atypical plant medicine that does, however, bind to a person's opioid receptors in their brain, spinal cord, digestive tract, and other areas of the body. That means that since it's a much weaker than a full agonist, since it's a partial opioid agonist, much weaker than things like heroin, oxycodone, and methadone. So this is a very weak opioid plant medicine that is sold online and at certain smoke shops. It is illegal in many states now, and there's purity issues with many of the brands. There's been like salmonella outbreaks in certain batches that had to get recalled. So moving on to number 13, Lucemyra. This is an FDA-approved medication for opioid withdrawal. Like clonidine, it reduces blood pressure. However, without the potential side effect of making a person's blood pressure too low. So this one is, for a lot of people, even better than using clonidine. It can cause side effects, however. It's much more expensive than clonidine, but it does calm the fight or flight response by reducing your heart rate and blood pressure, thus lowering the fear, anxiety, and mental and physical restlessness. And this is something that you do need a prescription for. 14, we have methadone. This can be addictive. It's a full opioid agonist, very powerful. It can cause physical dependence and a withdrawal syndrome if somebody is dependent and then stops cold turkey. It can cause lots of side effects, especially from something called opioid-induced endocrinopathy. All opioids can suppress and lower the functioning of the endocrine system. Really important system there. Methadone, typically at high doses and long-term use, although at moderate doses as well, can cause a really severe disorder called opioid-induced endocrinopathy, which causes sweating, weight gain, osteoporosis, menstrual irregularities, depression, weight gain, loss of muscle mass, and hair falling out, teeth falling out, lots of stuff. I used to be a counselor at a methadone clinic for many years, and a lot of the patients there had opioid-induced endocrinopathy. Methadone can also interact with certain other medicines, supplements, and health disorders. But since it's so powerful of a full agonist, it can stop all withdrawal symptoms quite well and fast for most people. Unless somebody's on a huge amount of fentanyl, methadone can usually work for the most severe addictions. And it can also be used for maintenance, just like buprenorphine, either buprenorphine or buprenorphine combined with naloxone in popular products like Subutex and Suboxone and Zubsolv. Methadone can also be used for maintenance. Maintenance, again, is when you use it for several months or even several years or even several decades. This is something that you need to get prescribed from a methadone clinic. This is a very highly regulated medicine. It can be very dangerous. It can really interact with other medicines and be very dangerous. So now you know. 15 is muscle relaxers. Muscle relaxers are things like Soma and Flexeril and Tizanidine. These can be addictive and they can cause physical dependence and withdrawal. They can cause side effects and they can interact with certain medicines, supplements, and health disorders. But they can help a lot of people to relax their central nervous system and thus calm some anxiety, fear, restlessness, and mitigate tight and or sore muscles. A lot of people do well when they take muscle relaxers. They're typically not the best medicines for withdrawal, but a lot of people, they're not able to get a whole bunch of stuff from their doctor or not get exactly what they like. So a lot of people that are going through withdrawal from home, they're really just doing what they can with their resources. Some of them are buying these types of medications from drug dealers off the street. Some of them are ordering these drugs to be delivered off the dark web. I don't recommend any of that. Matter of fact, there's fentanyl cut in so many street drugs nowadays that it's really like playing Russian roulette. So, even though back in the day I did take drugs illegally for withdrawal symptoms mitigation, it is very dangerous. And nowadays, more so than ever before with the fentanyl epidemic, it's just really, really crazy. But anyways, these are prescription medicines, these muscle relaxers. And number 16 is NAD plus infusion therapy. This is a natural medicine. NAD plus stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. It's a metabolic enzyme that we create naturally, and it declines with age. The science behind this stuff is fascinating, and it has lots of mechanisms of action. True experts in NAD plus infusion therapy for opioid detox, they will tell you that they don't know exactly how it works, but it does seem to work quite well for many people. This is not FDA approved. Insurance doesn't cover it, but it is non-addictive, does not cause physical dependence or withdrawal, and the most powerful way to do NAD plus is to do the 10-day detox at a clinic that specializes in opioid detox, not one of the weight loss clinics or one of the anti-aging clinics, a place that does opioid detox day in and day out, or has done several cases of them, and has a board-certified addiction medicine prescribing the NAD plus that also uses a high-quality pharmaceutical-grade NAD plus supplier. A lot of the NAD plus clinics use inexpensive, cheap stuff, but there's some clinics that have really, really high-quality stuff, and there's not too many of them. So make sure that if you're going to look into this, ask them who's the prescriber there, if they're board certified in addiction medicine. Ask them where they get their NAD, and if you can look at reports on purity. This can alleviate withdrawal in some people quitting opioids, but it doesn't work well for everyone. And like I said, about 8,000 to 15,000 typically, and it's not covered by insurance. 17 is something called the NSS2 bridge device. This is actually the only device that's FDA approved for opioid withdrawal so far. Hopefully they'll come out with new and exciting devices in the future. These are non-addictive, does not cause physical dependence or withdrawal syndrome. It's very commonly used by acupuncture doctors, and this is a small electronic device you wear behind your ear, kind of in the same place as a hearing aid, and it delivers electrical impulses which target your brain's amygdala and calm it down. Typically used in an outpatient setting for 5 days straight while someone's going through acute opioid withdrawal, and it has to be prescribed by a physician. Some private practice physicians have these at their clinics, or they can order them, and some outpatient clinics have them, or they can order them. Number 18 is this kind of broad general category of supplements, but typically for acute withdrawal, really the supplements aren't usually going to be super powerful unless somebody is high dosing vitamin C. It's the only one that's been shown in studies to significantly ameliorate severe heroin addict withdrawal. That's pretty impressive. But, with the rest of the supplements, these are typically better for post-acute withdrawal, what I call the repair phase, where you're repairing brain health, repairing optimal neurotransmitter balances, repairing your gut health, repairing your brain health overall, endocrine health, and much more. So for example, for an acute withdrawal, this could be a combination formula or 2 or 3 products that include a blend of sedative herbs, really, really powerful sedative herbs like passion flower extract, and other sedative herbs like chamomile extract, lemon balm extract, magnolia bark extract, valerian root extract. Those are very sedative herbs that can actually alleviate withdrawal if you take a good amount of dose and it's, you're coming off pills or something like that. They might actually, help quite a bit. None of these are FDA approved. The FDA hates people using supplements, matter of fact, because they're not FDA approved. But things like sedative herbs and amino acids like tyrosine, theanine, tryptophan, DLPA, GABA. Then we got other herbs that are mood boosting sedative herbs like kava root and kana root, melatonin for sleep, B complex, magnesium's very relaxing, and the other ones you see there as well. These supplements are all non-addictive. None of them cause a physical dependence or a withdrawal syndrome. None of them you need a prescription for, at least here in the United States of America. God bless America for that. And they can interact with certain medicines and health disorders. And they're typically not as powerful as pharmaceutical medications, but they're typically a lot safer and easier to procure. Number 19, we have sunlight. This boosts your natural feel-good hormones and neurotransmitters that can, over time, help you to feel better faster. Adequate sunlight on a daily basis while going through withdrawal. And I know not a lot of people want to go outside, so this could actually be on the tail end of a withdrawal for someone once they're able to go outside. But the sooner people can usually start getting sun, the better they'll usually start feeling. This boosts your vitamin D, serotonin, endorphin and enkephalin, which are natural painkillers, and melatonin, which helps us sleep. This can help with anxiety, depression, insomnia, and more, and mood booster. This can actually be habit forming for people that are severely deficient in vitamin D. Just look at people that are addicted to tanning salons. And people can even get UV therapy at home if they don't want to go out in the sun during withdrawal. There's types of devices and technologies like infrared saunas and UV lights and other types of lights that you can get at home that are portable, and some of them are quite affordable. Getting adequate sunlight is often recommended, but not always, depending on the specialist. And finally, we've reached number 20, the Wiseman method. This is a form of rapid opioid detox that's got a registered trademark and a totally awesome system. Very expensive. It usually is around $20,000. I just had a consultation with a new client last week that is scheduled to go to the Wiseman method at the end of this month. They're very excited. The Wiseman method is not addictive. It does not cause physical dependence or withdrawal, but it's not covered by insurance. You have to pay out of pocket. And it's performed at a Wiseman method clinic. The one my client is going to is actually here in California. And it's operated by highly skilled and trained physicians and nurses trained in this Wiseman method detox. And the way they do it is using powerful opioid blockers and other medicines. They put somebody under general anesthesia, so they're, put them under, and then they give them these opioid blockers and other medicines, and they have this awesome method of, it's the fastest way on earth to reverse opioid dependence. So in a matter of minutes or maybe a couple of hours, 30 to 60 minutes, up to 2 hours, maybe longer if it's long-acting opioids, they're able to use the opioid blockers while the person is, under general anesthesia to get all the opioids out of them in the fastest and most comfortable way possible. So those are the 20 detox methods we're talking about in this webinar, A to Z. Just a few more slides. I would be remiss if I didn't include the law of biochemical individuality. That means that even though we're all human, mind, body, spirit complexes, our physiology, biochemistry, and more are all highly unique. What that means is that opioid withdrawal and detox remedies that work really well for you may not work well for everyone, and they may not even work well for the majority of people. So this is basically what works for one person isn't going to work for everyone. We're all biochemically unique, and that is why any opioid withdrawal detox remedy somebody takes, whether it's buprenorphine, high-dose vitamin C, kratom, or one of the many other ones we talked about, the bridge device, etc., those are going to have varying levels of efficacy and side effects, etc., depending on the person's biochemical profile. Now, if you liked a few of these or if you like several of these, I encourage you to create a list to show your doctor and get guidance from them. Do not use any of these remedies without doctor approval. This video and slide deck is for educational use only, and it's not medical advice. The author does not recommend the use of any of these substances mentioned here. This webinar is simply information with no opinion tied to it. Talk to your doctor. Be safe. Next slide. Please share, like, or subscribe to help me help those that are still suffering. There's so many people that are suffering out there. That is the exact reason I made this video. I don't have anything to sell you on this. I'm not trying to get anyone to come buy stuff from me. I really just want that if you got value from this and believe it would help others, feel welcome and encouraged to help me on the mission of service by leaving a comment or sharing it. You could add it to a playlist or simply at the very minimum, give it a thumbs up. God bless you for helping me on my mission. You can learn more free tips on opioid detox and recovery methods and modalities at my resources that are all free here, opioidaddictionsupport.com. I have a blog with more than 300 free articles and lots of free videos on there too. elevationrecovery.com with more than 200 free podcast episodes, and the Elevation Recovery YouTube channel with more than 50 free videos. Decide, commit, learn, plan, schedule, get support, detox, repair, rewire, and finally, recover is the path to freedom from opioid dependence.